Hey, kia ora. Helen Browns here, coming to you live from Sun City in Arizona. Hope you're having a super fantastic, sparkling day. It is my day of rest, my day I have off, the day I do whatever. But it turned out to be a little crazy today. Not as crazy as some days, but today was crazy. So I thought, what a great topic for today. Let's talk about crazy days. So welcome to Before the Dirt Nap podcast. This is podcast number 1124. Whoa, that's a lot of days. Let's see, 1,090. Yeah, that's a lot. Not sure where the head just went. Like I said, it's been a crazy day. I've been having a lot of trouble focusing on things today, and that's okay. So we got up this morning, did all my devotional time and everything else, and then I thought, okay, got to take Zephy for a walk. Then we're going to come back and we're going to work on the windshield because we didn't get to do that yesterday. We're going to get the insulation foam up there, get it all cut out and sized and everything, and we'll do the fabric on the front, then the insulation foam, and then the boards on the back. Had that all worked out and planned. Yes. So we went for a walk. We came back. We had breakfast, and then I was sort of like, I'm looking at my floor space, and I have this roll of insulation foam that's 100 feet long, and it's 4 feet wide. And I thought, well, that shouldn't be too bad because I need it 4 feet wide anyway, and I can just roll it on the floor. Doesn't look like I got 4 feet. So I had to measure about the width that I had. And if I tapped it under the kitchen cabinets, I had my 4 feet. So I had to put it like over the stairwell and just like pull it along. And then I thought, oh yeah, that looks about 8 feet long, which is what I needed to go across the window because I did all my measurements. And so I went and measured, and I even got out my little laser. Oh, I don't have it here. It's still over there. I got out my little laser measure thingy to help me measure it, and I had it up against the base of the refrigerator down here, which was as far as I could get the 4 feet width thing across, and it was 7 foot 3 inches. I was like, no. But then I thought, well, hang on. The roll is taking up a little more. So we just unrolled the roll just a little more, and then we cut it. I knew it was going to be big, which was fine. Get it up into the window, get it all tucked in on one side, go over the other side. We can't tuck it in because there's a little bit of excess, so we trim all that off and get it all taped into place to stop it moving around and everything else. And then I thought, okay, now I have to cut the Zephy window. So the idea was to insulate the whole windscreen, cut the Zephy window, then but of course when I cleared off and did all the dusting and everything, there's all this black stuff there. And I'm like, oh, I washed it all off good. What's all this black stuff? And the fold out thing that we had been using that actually goes across the whole screen, but is only 3 feet high. Actually, I think it's only 32 inches. It had this black trim around it, and the thing had just literally disintegrated because of the heat coming through the windscreen, even though we have the solar shield on the front. It was disintegrating. This tape was around, and there's all this black stuff everywhere. And I'm like, oh. So of course we had to clean all that up. So I did a big cleanup on that front area up there. There's a lot of dog hair that gets into strange places up there. There's a couple of air ducts that blow up onto the windscreen and stuff. So I actually had to clean those out because dog hair was just sitting in there because there's nothing to blow it all out. So we ended up cleaning a little more than we had anticipated. And finding this black stuff, we then had to go and clean down between where the dashboard comes down and meets the windscreen because it was all down in there as well. There was a lot of cleaning going on there. There was a lot of that black stuff around. And then I'm like looking up, and it's like smeared. There's black marks smeared on the support between the windscreen and the side window. And I'm like, oh, great. So then we had to go clean all of that. And so I finally get the insulation stuff in there and get it all taped up into place. And so then I thought, oh, now we have to cut the Zephy window. So figured it out, cut it, and I thought, no. And I thought, oh, it's fine for her bed, but there's times that she likes to sit between her bed and where the middle part of the console rises. and she uses her bed as a chin rest and just lays there on the dashboard. I thought, oh, I didn't cut that piece out. Well, if I go just to the side of the window divide, because I've got a strip that goes up the middle of the windscreen, and so I got all that cut out. I thought, yes, that's perfect. And I was like, okay, now I've got to maneuver the folding thing that we had there so that it covers the hole up when we need it to cover that whole piece up for it, like at night or during the day when the sun's streaming in there. And so got all that organized and everything else, and then we actually left it closed for a bit. And I was like, oh, that's one job done. Yes, I was super, super excited because I thought, that's one job done. Now we're going to figure out how to do the headboard thing. And I'm standing there and I'm looking at it, and I suddenly go, oh crap, that's only part of the job done. Because the other part of the job was that the piece that's on the outside up against the window was going to be fabric, then the insulation foam, and then the cardboard at the back, because that's meant to make it even more insulated and whatnot with all the videos I've been watching. And I was like, damn, I forgot to do that. And I thought, well, I'm not going to worry about that right now because I really don't have the floor space to handle that. So I'm going to have to figure that one out. I'm going to have to wait for it to cool down a little bit and maybe go and take it outside and do it on the concrete patio outside, which will be fun because there's a lot of ants out there. And then Zeffie will be on her long leash out there and wanting to come into the shade and everything else where I'm trying to work. It's going to have to be done first thing in the morning. So maybe that's next Saturday's job. But for now, we have that up. And by this stage, it's almost lunchtime. And I'm sort of like, you know what? I said to Zeffie, I said, do you want to go for a ride and we'll get you a pup cup? And we've discovered Dutch Brothers, and they make these really, really yummy double chocolate mocha blendy things. And I know, way too much sugar, but I don't have them that often. It's a treat, and it was a hot day. I mean, we were heading towards triple digits, so I wanted to make sure I definitely got that front window done today. So I closed up the little Zeffie window thing, and off we went. Got in the car and went off for a drive and everything else, and Zeffie was very happy with that. And here's the funny thing: we get to Dutch Brothers, and we had to sit in line and wait. And as soon as I wound down the window to give our order, Zeffie starts up in the back. She's like, "How, like going like crazy in the back." And I said, "Yes, and we need one of those pup cup things too." She's like, "Okay, I got the pup cup." And I said, "The pup cup's been ordered." And Zeffie went quiet like that. As soon as I told her the pup cup was ordered, boom, she was quiet. I thought, she's only had these once. And it's a little cup that comes with the whipped cream in it, and they actually put a dog treat on top. A little dog biscuit. And she's only had it once, but she was going berserk there in the backseat, like, I need to be paid attention to. I want my pup cup. And I told her, as soon as I told her a pup cup had been ordered, she went quiet. And she sat there very patiently and waited for the other cars in front of us to go until we got up there and we got her pup cup and everything, got my drink, and we drove off and got to an area. Oh no, while we're waiting for because we had to wait for my drink to be done. And so I picked up the dog treat, which had some whipped cream on it, and I handed it back to her. And she's like, and that thing just vanished. But then every time we're at a red light, I would reach over with the pup cup and she'll get to lick some more cream. It took her like 5 red lights to get to the bottom of that thing, but she was happy she had her pup cup. But we decided we weren't going to drive straight back. No, we're going to go for a drive. So we went for a drive around, just nowhere in particular, and trying to figure out, should we get lunch here? Should we have lunch at home? And I think we ended up at Burger King and got a Swiss bacon chicken sandwich thing. And when we got home, we discovered there was no bacon and no Swiss. That was just the chicken with the tomato and the lettuce. I'm like, where's my Swiss cheese and my bacon? Oh, that's fine. They screw you at the drive-thru. Although that's not the words that Leo Getz uses in Lethal Weapon 2. Yes, that's a whole nother scene. So we enjoyed it. She got some of the chicken. And so then I was like, okay, now I need to figure out this headboard because I've got 2 lamps that are on the wall as well. So I got out the measuring tape, went in there and measured and went, because I thought, oh, they're probably 4 feet apart, so I'll be able to put one panel down between them, do a little, they're actually 40, put it this way, the 4 feet is on the stem of the lamp. So you've got the base of the lamp with the stem that comes out of the middle, and it's 4 feet between that stem and this stem. And I thought, that kind of works out well. And I thought, now how am I going to do this? Because I'm going to have to do it as a template, because I don't want to take the stuff up there and like carve it around with the insulation thing. That's just going to be too messy. We're not going to do that. And so I thought, craft paper. I have craft paper. So I pulled out the craft paper. The craft paper is 24 inches long. I thought, yes. So now I can go in there, but I'm going to have to tape. And I went in and measured 42 inches in height that I need. And so I thought, well, I'm going to have to use the template for the material that I've got to go on there as well. So we may as well make the paper template using the craft paper, have it 4 feet wide, so 2 pieces joined together, go in, cut out the template, make sure everything fits perfectly. Then we'll put it on the insulation and cut all that out. And then we'll put it on the fabric to cut that out, and get all that done. So then it was like, this is exhausting. And by this stage, it's like three digits outside. But when we got back, it was like freezing cold inside the RV. And I was like, this is awesome. But then we were outside and it was like 105. When we got home. So anything below 105 when you come in, it's like freezing cold. And we got inside and it was like around 79. But I did go up and I did feel the front of feel the windscreen, and it did feel a lot cooler. And so then I opened up the cabinets on the top where we keep the electronics and felt up there. And that was definitely a lot cooler. The outside wall, though, on the passenger side was getting hot because the sun was beating on that part. So I thought, okay, I don't have to worry about insulating the front piece now. I just got to worry about insulating the side pieces to keep it cooler in there when the sun gets around to that part. So we figured that out. So I've got, it's going to be another template because it's not rectangle, it's not square. Yeah. I was looking at that going, yeah, we're going to have to do a template on that one too. And by this stage, I was sort of like, I was dragging, and I thought, we're going to go take a nap. So we went and took a nap. And then I got up and I was like, I need to cook some eggs. So we got the eggs cooked. And then I thought, I wanted to do, there's an online class I wanted to do. So I started doing that. And I'm sitting here and I look at the clock and I go, it's almost 6 o'clock. And I'm like, it's been one of those days where things get a little crazy, get a little out of order, nothing goes as planned. And I'm sitting here going, I still have to clean up because I've got stuff everywhere. So I still have to clean up. So we've got places to sit tonight to watch, and Zeffie's got room to run up and down. And so, as soon as we finish this, we're going to be doing a little bit of cleanup because I want it to be a little cooler before we go outside, because it's currently like 100 and I can't see the echo from here. It's on dark mode. It's 3 digits outside right now, and I hate going outside when it's 3 digits because it says it's like 101, but it feels like 106. And we've already got excessive heat warnings for this week. So I'm glad I kind of got the insulation up, because it's going to be a good test to see how we do with just the insulation. But I'm going to be putting on there the old curtains that were behind me, are thermal curtains. So we're going to put them on there to see how that works with the insulation, and then the cardboard we put behind it. And I have enough of the curtain that I can do the front side and the back side as well. So it'll be encased, and so it'll look pretty on both sides. So yes, we're going to figure all of that out. And I got to figure out the little Zeffie door thing. Maybe I'll use the cutout from that and make one that just slides across, so I can get rid of this foil thing that's got the disintegrating black border around it, because that stuff gets everywhere. It was amazing. I was trying to clean it up. I couldn't believe how much of it was down in that little crevice. And so that took a while to clean up. But it's just been one of those days where nothing goes as planned. And, we all have those crazy days. We have the crazy days where nothing goes as planned. Everything goes haywire. So what do you do on those days? You just go with the flow. And when you go with the flow, you're not as stressed. Yes, there are some crazy days where you can get stressed and worried about that, and that's okay. There are days that where it feels like you're getting overwhelmed and everything else. And that's where my little watch here comes in real handy. This watch is one that Brad actually purchased for me on our very first cruise back in September 2009. I love this watch. It's an Eco, I think it's hang on, can't read the face clock with that light. It's a Citizen Eco Drive, so it doesn't actually, it has a battery, but the battery gets charged by sunlight and movement. So we always wear this when I go out for a walk, so it gets its sunshine and it gets its movement every day, but it has a second hand. And the important thing about this watch is that it has a second hand on it. The little hand that goes, whoops, where are we? Can you see that? That little hand there moving around? Ooh. Yeah, so we watch that second hand, and what we do is that my words, you can use whatever words you like, you'll sit there and you'll look at it and go, okay, Lord, get me through the next minute. And then you watch that hand go around, and as you're watching that hand tick, you're taking a breath, you hold it for 5 seconds, release it for 5 seconds, take a breath in for 5, you breathe in for 5, hold for 5, out for 5. And you do that as you're watching that second hand go around to the minute. And you get to the end of that minute, check in with how you feel. And if you need to do it again, do it again. You know, and if a minute felt good, you feel good at the end of the minute, okay, still feel a little overwhelmed. So let's go for 90 seconds this time, or we'll do another minute and then we'll do a 90-second break. So just increase that time until you're sort of like feeling very calm, because sometimes you just need to take a breath, and sometimes you've actually got to, when you're focusing on that second hand and you're breathing, everything else seems to come into alignment for you. Ask me how I know. I got through many of Brad's procedures with this method, where I was by myself in the waiting room and things were going longer than they anticipated. And I'm just like, okay, Lord, let's go for a minute or 30 seconds or whatever it was. And I would just breathe in for 5, hold for 5, out for 5, breathe in for 5, hold for 5, out for 5. And that would help calm me down. And they had given me a pager and everything else. So I was able to go for a wander. A lot of the hospital that we went to, it didn't have a chapel, but it did have a quiet room, which was considered the chapel. And so it was, yeah. So their chapel was actually a quiet room. It was beautiful. It was very, very calming and very peaceful in there to sit in there, and there was nobody around. But it was just the way they had the flooring done and the way the wooden seats would come up out of the flooring and how they were all done. It was beautiful. I actually went down and took a video one time for Brad to show him, because I was trying to describe it. I said, give me 15 minutes. I'll be right back. I left him in his hospital room, raced downstairs, went in to check the quiet room. Nobody's in there. So I videotaped it and then went back upstairs and showed him. So he was able to see what the quiet room looked like downstairs. You do what you have to do. But sometimes you just got to calm yourself down. And that's the best way I have found. It gets me into a meditative state. It just helps calm me down, gets me back into alignment, and then I can go into prayers and meditations and that sort of thing to help get me through whatever it is I need to get through. But sometimes I just need to focus on my breathing and on that second hand to help calm me down. And things can be out of control and crazy around me. And if I do that, I'm okay. I remember one night I got called in at midnight by Brad to say, I need you here now. I said, I'm on my way. And he was actually like a 15, 20-minute drive from our place, and I was there in 10. There was no traffic. Straight onto the freeway, because our house was half a mile from the freeway. And at midnight, there was no traffic on the main road that normally takes 5 to 10 minutes to do a left turn. So I was able to do that. And normally I'd have to take a right turn and go the scenic route, which was seeing the ocean. Sometimes I'd leave a little earlier and stop. And if there weren't a lot of cars parked looking out over the ocean, I would stop there and just wind the windows down so you could get that fresh sea air blowing in. And I was there one day and watched the marine layer come in, and there was a fisherman standing there in the surf, and he was surf casting. And in like 5 minutes, he was gone. Like, he was in the mist. He was in that marine layer. And when I went out there, it was blue, and you could see this cloud just rolling in towards the shore. And there's this fisherman out there, and he's like surf casting there. And surf casting, you have these really long fishing poles. And he was out there surf casting, and I just watched this marine layer come in and just wrap itself around him. And he, like, I couldn't see the beach. I was parked above the beach. I could not see it down below, and it wasn't that far to get down to the beach either. And so I thought, okay, I guess it's time to go. And by the time I backed the car out, there's mist all around me. So yeah, it was pretty freaky, but it was fun. It was cool. You get to do things like that. But some days crazy is very crazy, very stressful, very you get very anxious and all that sort of stuff. Take a moment to take a breath. There's times that where we've been in a emergency situation and I've managed to stay calm during that time. It will be afterwards, after that emergency has passed. That's when the anxiety and the stress of what just happened hits me, and that's when I need to pull out my watch and sit there and do my breathing exercises. In the middle of an emergency situation, you've got to keep a clear head, stay calm. Sometimes it's just like, and then we're into action mode. And it's once the emergency has passed and everything's calmed down, that's when everything comes and hits me. So figure out how to deal. Everybody has a different way that they deal with crazy, they deal with stress, they deal with anxiety. Find your emergency buttons and program them to do certain. When I'm in this situation, I have to do this. When I'm in this situation, I do that. Have your emergency plan in place. It's like if I'm out and about and a wave of grief comes over me, it's a case of take a deep breath, blow it out, find somewhere to go park, especially if I'm driving, find somewhere to go park, and either get myself under control at that point or allow the emotions to roll over me, which is not a good idea. I don't feel comfortable doing that in a public place. Sometimes it's just reaching over the back and giving Zephyr a scratch, but finding a place to pull over, allow the grief to roll over me, and so I can feel the emotions, of course, go rampant. And I need some, hang on, I got a bad itch here, which is driving me nuts at work. And it's a case of, getting myself under control so I can get back home and have the real breakdown. That's one thing I guess that kept me at home for a long time, where the only time I would leave would be to go get groceries or go get the mail. And then I started saying that we've got to get out of the house. So we start taking these circulus routes to get, I would go the mail place was a mile from our home. We get to the end of our street, it's a stop sign. You have to take a left turn to go that mile. It's just the other side of the freeway. The problem is that street got so busy and you had to time it exactly because there were schools. There was a primary school just down the street from us. There was a middle school down a side street. Even if I had to go to my chiropractor, who was just down that side street, I would turn right, go all the way down the Pacific Coast Highway, go along to the next street, take a left, come up that way to take a left. I would have to do that because otherwise I could sit there. The longest I sat there one day was 15 minutes. I thought, this is nuts. And the school was in session, or they on summer break. It was a time when there was no pickup or drop-offs being done at the school. So either the school was in session or they were on summer break. It was not the lunch hour, because that was another thing so you knew the times that the school started, so you stayed clear of them on those days. You got to know the patterns. And then there was the lunch rush that would start around 11 o'clock in the morning and go through to like 2. That's okay, Zeffy. It's okay. And then at 2:30 is when the school pickups would start. And so it was like you really couldn't leave. If you wanted to go left, you had to go right to go left. It was crazy. It was nuts. And so I would think, instead of, okay, I got to go pick up the mail, so I would take a right turn and I'd get down to the Pacific Coast. Now, there was a street I could cut across to get to that other street and then take a left turn and go up the back way. But I was just like, well, I've come this far, I might as well go down Pacific Coast Highway. And then I would either take a left or a right turn. And one time, okay, I'm going a mile, right? Gotta go to get my mail. It's a mile away. I take a right turn. I get down to Pacific Coast Highway. I take a right turn. So now I'm heading north. My mailbox place was west of me. So now I'm heading north. And I just meander up the Pacific Coast Highway for a bit. And I end up on this other road. I take that road, which takes me all the way across to Escondido, which was the other side of San Diego. So I went across the 5 over to where the 15 was, came down the 15, got onto some back roads, and came in the back way to get to the thing. It was like an hour drive. And there were days that I would go and do that. And I thought, oh, I'll get lunch while I'm out. And I get to this, and I'd know where all the places where I could stop and get lunch along the way, like a drive-through or whatnot. And I knew the drive-through was coming up. And I was like, yeah, no. And I'd get home and I hadn't eaten anything. I'd been out for an hour-long drive and I hadn't eaten anything. On the way back home after leaving the mail place, so it was easy because there were lights. But I wouldn't take the lights out of the shopping center because those were really, you could sit there for 3 cycles before you actually got to do a left turn. So I would go out the back of the shopping center, around the side street to the main street, and get on it that way and get home. But even that could take you 15 minutes to go a mile. It was nuts. And it turned out that road was actually designed to take like 44,000 cars a day, and was at that time taking 80,000. Just to give you some idea of the number of cars that were going down, how busy that street was. But it was always a relief to get home. But, even today, I'm in the RV, and when I feel the grief coming on, it's like I pick up Zeffie, I lay down on the bed, and I just snuggle with her and let it wash over me. And she'll struggle after a little bit, like saying, I've had enough of laying down, I want to go. So she'll go back out to the window or whatever. And but yeah, there's those times that it's going to hit you. Have your action plan in place. So I know that when I'm out, these are the steps I have to do. If I'm in the middle of a store and I feel one coming on, I would just leave. If I'm in a Barnes, I haven't been to many stores since then, but I've been to Michael's, I've been to Office Depot, and Barnes & Noble are the stores that I have been in since all restrictions and stuff got lifted. Otherwise, everything got delivered to the door. So I'm starting to go back out into stores these days. Haven't made it into a grocery store yet. There's just I'm gonna go to the grocery store today. Yeah, no, that never happens. It hasn't happened yet. Even when I'm like out getting the mail, I'll stop at Sprouts because I'll be on the right side of the road for that. I can do a right turn into there. I can go to Sprouts. I can just run in and get these couple of things that I need and get in the car, and I drive right past. Like, I know where the light is to turn into Sprouts and all of that, and I see it coming up. I'm in the right-hand lane that I can make that turn, and I just drive straight past. I'll do that another day. I don't know. There's some blocking it. We're working on it. We're working on it. But yeah, have an action plan in place. But there's been times that since all the restrictions and everything got lifted, when I've been in one of those stores and I feel an attack coming on, that I have just stopped, put down whatever it was I was carrying wherever I am, and walked out of the store and got in the car. And I've either driven away or I've just sat there, let the emotions roll over me, clean myself up. And in the car, I have these really, really cool paper towels. I have these really cool reusable towels. And they look like, and I don't have any on my desk, but they're about this round. They look like for the New Zealanders, they look like Oddfellows. And Oddfellows are these peppermint candies that are about yay big. And and it's in its own individual wrapper, and you open it up, you pour some water over it, and it expands and becomes a face cloth or whatever you need it to be. And so I keep a bunch of those in my car. And so on times like that, when I do have the breakdown in the car, I've got a way that I can wash my face, because I never drive off in my car without water in the car. So there's times that when I get like that, I can go out the car, I can pull the water over this. Once I'm finished, I can at least clean my face up so I don't look like I've just been bawling my eyes out. And it's always cold water too, so everything shrinks. I don't get the puffy eye thing. And then I can go back inside, find the stack that I left somewhere, and carry on doing what it was I was doing. Or if it's bad enough, I will just, and I'm feeling okay, I'll just drive home. So have action plans in place. If you know you get anxious, or you know you're going to get worried, or you're worried about a wave of grief coming over you or some other sort of stress or anything coming overwhelm, have a plan in place so when it does hit, you know what to do. You're not standing frozen in the middle of somewhere, or you're not locked up in your house because you're afraid to go out in case you have an attack. Have a plan in place for when you are out that you know what to do, whether it's drop everything and go and sit in the car and bawl your eyes out if you need to. If it's get in the car and driving home so you can break down, do that too. If it's while you're driving, find somewhere to pull over and let the emotions flow. So when you have those crazy days, so crazy days could be anything from nothing goes as planned, everything ends up being turned around and you think you've done something, you look back at it like I did today and look back at the thing and go, oh, I forgot to do the layering thing. But even with just that single layer, it did make a difference. So I'm kind of curious to see what will happen when we get the layers on there to see how much of a difference it's going to make with that. To completely having breakdowns and all of that sort of stuff with crazy days. So, or crazy days with little emergencies popping up, a lot of stress happening. So find ways to deal with those. Everybody has a way of coping, has a way of basically sitting there and taking a deep breath, getting yourself under control, because if you're out of control, whoever it is that you're caring for, they're going to be feeding off your emotions. Like if you've got there's times where we've had to take, I took Zephy into the vet because she was having problems with her back legs. And I was very, very worried about that, but she was feeding off that anxiety and that stress. So I had to calm myself down to take care of her so that when we got to the vets, she wasn't so anxious and stressed out. And yeah, she was a little bit, but just picked her up and cuddled her and she was fine. And then it turned out there was nothing wrong with her legs. She just pulled a muscle. And so they've given me stuff to give her if she does it again. But she hasn't done it since. So it's like we have the plan in place and we haven't, touch wood, we haven't had to use it yet. So anyway, I'm out of here. Go have a super fantastic, sparkling rest of your day. Find a way to deal with crazy days. Come up with your action plan. Have it in place. Have stress balls around the home or in the car or something if you need to. Actually, a stress ball in the car, that would be this heater would be a sticky mess. I have an idea for the car. Just got to figure out how to implement it. Anyway, go have a super fantastic, sparkling day, rest of your day, and we'll catch you guys back here tomorrow. Tomorrow we have a very special guest on for you tomorrow night. She is absolutely amazing. I think I told you about her last night, thinking last night was Sunday. I'm sorry. She's coming on a Monday, which is tomorrow. So I apologize for the confusion on that one because I just realized, I think I said, but tomorrow night we do have a special guest for you. She is awesome. She is amazing. We'll be posting the information for that sometime throughout the day, so keep an eye out for that. Until then, have a super fantastic, sparkling time, and we'll catch you guys tomorrow night with our very special guest. Hey, Konara.